I know something, and I'm going to share my knowledge with y'all. It is a sign. It is a tell. It is a revelation. I know Stacey Abrams is toast. I know Stacey Abrams is going to lose. All the caveats about, well, it depends on turnout and voters better show up. They better not take it for granted, blah, 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 blah. I know she's going to lose. How do I know Stacey Abrams is going to lose? I know because the Washington Post fact checkers would not be running the story they're running today if Stacey Abrams was going to win, if she had a chance. But they have to do it now so they can take the moral high ground later and say, of course we wrote about this, of course we did, of course, we were fact checkers, we fact checked her, we played both sides fair. They would never have run the story if she wasn't toast. If she even had a chance, they would not run this story. But I know she's toast because the fact checker at the Washington Post is running this story. Headline: Stacey Abrams' rhetorical twist on being an election denier. In 2018, Abrams lost a bitter election to become Georgia's governor to Brian Kemp, then the state's Secretary of State, and refused to concede after suggesting Kemp used his position to manipulate his way to victory. Now, Abrams is in a rematch with Kemp, fending off questions from reporters that she's little different from former President Donald Trump, who has falsely claimed election fraud led to his defeat by Joe Biden. In recent weeks, she has subtly adjusted language to argue that, unlike Trump, she never denied the election and never denied that I lost. Quote, the difference with Trump is very stark. When I did not win my election in 2018, the first thing I said was that I acknowledged the outcome, that the new governor was Brian Kemp. I was not the governor, but I did say the system was broken. In an interview with The 19th this month, Abrams said, quote, my point was that the access to the election was flawed, and I refuse to concede a system that permits citizens to be denied access. That is very different than someone claiming fraudulent outcomes. However, in a review of numerous interviews, it shows Abrams used language denying the outcome of the election. She now appears to be playing down. For instance, Abrams at various times has said the election was stolen, and even in a New York Times interview said, I won. She suggested the election laws were rigged and that it was not a free or fair election. She also claimed that voter suppression was to blame for her loss, even though she admitted she could not empirically prove that. While she did acknowledge Kemp was governor, she refused to say he was a legitimate governor. Abrams made these claims while often leaving herself a rhetorical exit. When she said the election was stolen, she often hastened to add that it was stolen from the people of Georgia. Moreover, unlike Trump, Abrams has not attempted to rile supporters to violence or call into question the outcome of the election before it takes place. Actually, that's a lie. She's done that this year. Abrams suggested after the election law change in Georgia that she could lose because they could suppress the vote. They wouldn't be running this story if Abrams were going to be governor of the state of Georgia. They wouldn't be running the story. They would deny it altogether. They would cover it up. They would move on. Abrams continued to suggest the election was stolen through 2019 and even as recently as 2021. Quote, Brian Kemp won under the rules that were in place. What I object to are rules that permitted thousands of Georgia voters to be denied their participation in this election or to have their votes cast, she said when questioned by Senator Ted Cruz on April 20th, 2021. My full language was that it was stolen from the voters of Georgia. We do not know what they would have done because not every eligible Georgian was permitted to participate fully in the election. Stacey Abrams is an election denier. She's no different from Donald Trump. The media, you will note, it is September 29th, 2022, as I'm reading this. September 29th, 2022. Her quotes are from 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. They even ignore the 2022 quotes where she suggests this coming election could be stolen because of a change in law. Maybe they don't know that one exists, but it does. She said it. Why? Why is this story only happening now on September 29th, 2022? She's been the president of United Earth for 6 months now. She's been on the news and in the news for the last 4 years. This has been an issue since January 6, 2021. And they're only just now talking about it. Why? What has changed that the media would only now decide to talk about this story? What is it that made the difference? Could it be the polling? Could it be the polls? Could it be they know she doesn't have a chance in hell now? It's safe. Her career is over. I was speaking at an event last night. Man, I want to go back to this place. It was a farm out in Buckhead, Georgia. Not Buckhead like Atlanta's financial center Buckhead, but Buckhead, Georgia, out on Lake Oconee. Rural part of the state of Georgia. Absolutely gorgeous. So I have done very limited numbers of campaign events this year. But a guy I know who I just simply think the world of, named Tim Fleming, is running for the state legislature. He was the chief of staff to Brian Kemp, the governor, for a while. He's running for the state legislature. God bless him. I don't know why he'd want to do it, but he is. And I did an event for Tim last night. We're out on this farm, and I was telling him what's going to happen when Abrams loses. Not if, but when she loses. Have you all seen videos? So I got a buddy of mine, David Cannon. And David Cannon was a youth pastor who's a brilliant photographer, and now he's become this photographer. He's not a youth pastor anymore. And he goes all over the world taking fishing photographs for Cabela, Bass Pro, Duckhead. I mean, the man is just, he's an amazing photographer. He's the guy who got me into fly fishing. It's his fault. I've become an addict. It's totally his fault. But he put up a video he goes down to the Amazon a lot to go fishing down there and doing fly fishing photography down in the Amazon jungle basin and the river basin. And he put up this picture, and it was of someone sticking like this cow leg in the water, and the piranha. I've never seen, I mean, I saw the horror movie when I was a kid. I didn't think it was real. I mean, there's just all of a sudden there's a bone. You stick this giant piece of meat in the water, and suddenly the piranha just, they devour it, and there's nothing there but a clean bone. It's the most amazing thing. That's what the Democrats are going to do to Stacey Abrams in Georgia the day after this election is over. She'll be the leg in the water. They'll be the piranha. They are resentful, seething with resentment that she stacked the deck. She said, you're going to run for this spot, and you're going to run for this spot, and you're going to run for this spot. And no, you can't run for this spot. You're going to run for this spot. I'm going to run for governor, and we're going to win. And holy moly, what a disaster. They're all going to lose. She built this entire operation. She built this massive team. She got this massive fundraising operation. She got all these people around the country. 84% of her money comes from around the country, not Georgia. And she blew it. She lost her sense of humor. She lost her personability. She lost her ability to campaign. But it's not just her. The guy she's running against stood up to the president of the United States and reopened the state of Georgia when Donald Trump told him not to. Got the economy going, got a record to run on. He's not Trump's man anymore. Abrams thought she'd be running against mini Trump. Instead, she's running against Brian Kemp, regular Bud Light drinker. And she herself comes across as too arrogant, out of touch, and pretentious. And the media has tried to cover it all up and put her on TV and fawn over her and love her and praise her. And only now is the media turning on Stacey Abrams because they know the gig is up. They know the show is over. They see the writing on the wall. And it's time for the piranha to approach. The day after the election, it's going to be like the dudes in The Wizard of Oz who throw water on the witch and she melts. They're like, oh, thank God, we're free. That's how the Democrats in Georgia are going to operate. They are so seething with resentment right now. She put them on a ship, and it's sinking. For the media to come out now and say Stacey Abrams is an election denier, just like Donald Trump, means even the national media knows the score, knows the time, knows the poll, and knows her 15 minutes are almost up.